African brains is, so magnanimous and generous enough to set up such a program at such a time. African Young Brains have been doing great and mighty things, actually. But the next um, the next event, I mean, the next order, the next item rather, in the order of events, we expose everything we have been doing before. So you are going to hear so many things in the welcome address, and I'm going to be handing over very soon to the one who we anchor the welcome address. But before we do that, I just want us to be more than this initial number. Can we have that? Once it's 10:14, then we'll now kick off for the welcome address. I'll welcome the the wonderful personality that will take the welcome address. This is African Young Brains, and you see, African Young Brains is a quintessential, special. Mention all the words, mention all the adjectives, the qualities of African Young Brains is matchless and is founded by no other person but my wonderful daddy. I call him my own daddy. It can be to you the founder, he's also to me the founder. It can be to you a mentor, he's also to me a mentor, but I call him a father. And I'm very sure Dr. Tomi agrees with me. Because all through the planning, all through the you know, preparation for these wonderful events. Daddy has been with us, making sure. In fact, presently, Daddy is on that get the best from the events today. I want to run us through AYB, give us the welcomes. After then, I'll call on Dr. Femi Awoyomi, the founder of uh, African Young Brains, to speak with us in just a few minutes. Dr. Tomi, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Testimony. That was really, really profound. Yeah. So I'll be doing this welcome address on behalf of our founder, Dr. Femi Awiyomi. Yeah. He's actually on the call with us, but he has to attend to something very, very important. So I'll be doing this welcome address on his behalf. Yeah. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, distinguished guest speaker, our esteemed participants, you know, students and professionals, members of African Young Brains. We really, really, we are so happy to have you join us in this webinar today. It's with great pleasure that I welcome you on behalf of our founder to today's policy discourse, which is themed Build It, Own It, Shaping Africa's Future Through MSMEs. That is the medium, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. On behalf of the entire African Young Brains team, I sincerely appreciate every one of you, for taking our time to join us. Your presence really reflects a shared commitment to building a stronger and more prosperous Africa. And today is especially significant. We are celebrating International Day of Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises across Africa. And you see, these are all of these enterprises are not just businesses; they are the backbone of economies, and they create jobs, drive innovation, reduce poverty, and empower millions of people. Yet, despite their importance, the many of all of these businesses continue to face policy, financial, and structural challenges, which actually limit their growth. And so, for us here in African Young Brains, we believe that Africa's greatest resource is not just beneath the ground. It's the brilliancy, the creativity, the ideas, the resilience of these young people. We believe that when ideas are supported by the right resources, the right policies, institution, and even leadership, they become thriving businesses that transform communities and nation. And so, with this belief, is why we are gathered here today to have this discussion. Because I honestly, I feel it's very, very important in this age and time. Discussing this theme together with everyone. And this discussion is based on designing high income economy program, from policy ideas to scalable prosperity. And it's not just another conversation, it's not just one random round table discourse, right? is an opportunity for us to bridge the gap between policy and practice, between ideas and implementations, between ambition and sustainable economic growth. And so we are very, very honored to have with us Dr. Ayodele Fashogbon. Yeah, he's a development economist, at the World Bank Group, whose wealth of experience in economic development and public policy will provide valuable insights into how Africa has designed policies that enabled MSMEs to flourish and compete globally. And so, on behalf of our founder, I want to thank Dr. Fashogbon for honoring our invitation and for also investing your time and expertise in developing the next generation of African leaders and entrepreneurs. And so, to everyone participating with us today, please, I want to encourage you all to engage actively. Ask thoughtful questions. Share your thoughts, share your perspectives, challenge assumptions. I mean, I think this should be another avenue for us to connect with one another, because I personally feel the ideas exchanged today can inspire partnership, influence policies, and even spark the next set of generation, transformational leaders in the enterprise in our continent today. And so, on behalf of the founder, my profound, or let me say, I will admonish every one of us, yeah, in simple term, not just to attend this and see it as one random webinar, but to be ambitious. I mean, because our vision in African Young Brain is for us to build a generation of Africans who do not just merely adapt to the future, but we create it, right? So we believe a generation that builds businesses, that scales innovation, owns solutions, and leads Africa's economic transformation. So once again, thank you all for being part of this important conversation, and I wish you all engaging an insightful and impactful session with us today. Thank you once again. Welcome to the African Young Brain Policy Discourse. Thank you. All right. So, in a nutshell, that's just a little, or let me say, short welcome address from our founder, Dr. Femi Awoyomi. Yeah, because here in African Young Brains, we believe strongly in the future of our tomorrow. Our vision is to become Africa's most trusted bridge, right, between emerging talents and transformative opportunities. And so the way we do this is to identify, refine, position, and even connect exceptional young leaders, exceptional young Africans, with organizations, with mentors, with funding opportunities and platforms that amplify their impact, because we believe strongly that the future of our tomorrow lies in the hands of these young people. And it's so important that we nurture the next set of generational leaders that we have today. Yeah, over to you, Mr. Testimony.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Sorry, Doctor. There are many mistakes that are costly. Don't let me make a costly mistake. So, Doctor, I'm sorry, I can hear some feedback. I hope it's not from my end.
Yeah, I can too.
Okay now.
Okay, it's okay now.
All right. So we are moving on in the event, and having done the welcome address, I just want to run us through the overview of our event. The thing is, my co-host, Dr. Tommy, has done justice to that. Now I'm even looking at it like maybe I have something to say again, but you know, he has actually done justice. He has introduced us to the event. He has told us what we should expect. He has told us a lot of things. And founder of African Young Brains. And as he said earlier, I need to assure you, he's around. Dr. Femi Awoyomi is very much around. And I'm so happy, filled with joy to also know that our guest speaker is around. Dr. Femi, if you check the group chat, you will see he wrote his name and said he's happy to be here. So if our guest speaker is happy to be here, then you don't have any excuse. I can see Manuel from Nigeria, Emmanuel Kelvin, Babaranti, Olumuyiwa, Oluwafemi, Enilope, and I'm a Yoruba boy. I'm so sorry, and he's a prof. I'm Professor Enilobolo from Bells University of Technology, Nigeria. I'm so sorry, sir, if I misspell or if I mispronounce that name. I'm so sorry, and I believe you are forgiving me. Thank you so much, sir. You're welcome to this webinar. That's from Oluwatomiwa Ayobamdele and
It's Professor
our
Individual.
government, because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I want the necessary authority to do that. All right. So, as Dr. Tomi has introduced us to this event, the conversation today is actually a wonderful program. It's part of the global celebration of the International Day of Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises, and it's a wonderful time to around the SMEs. And the theme of the event, as you can see from the flyer, is build it, scale it, own it, shaping shaping Africa's future through MSMEs. And the topic of today's event is designing high-income economic program from policy ideas to scalable, prosperity. It's more than a discussion, actually, if you ask me. It's a call to action. It's a call to move from ideas to implementation, from potential to productivity, and from small beginnings to scalable impact across Africa. The name of our organization is African Young Brains. There's a reason why it is not called Nigerian Young Brains. There's a reason why it's not called Oyo State Young Brains. It's called African. And I know one day it's going to be it's going to be international young brains, because it's not limited to Africa alone. We are going to expand our frontiers as by the mercies of God, and it's a wonderful opportunity for me to also let you know that today's event is going to be a time where you're going to learn so much, and you can't afford to allow yourself to be disconnected. You don't want your jotters to be empty. You don't want your pen to be idle. You don't want your hands to be rested. You want to keep on writing, because there are many secrets, there are many things that our guest speaker will show us today. And we're actually privileged to have him among us. We are privileged to have him, a seasoned expert, a development economist with the World Bank Group, will be guiding us through this important conversation. So what I just want to let you know and reiterate is that please stay engaged. We may not be able to always check up on and say, are you there? Are you there? Because once it starts, it's going to take us on that ride. So we may not be able to be asking and saying, hope you are there, hope you are there. So within the few minutes it's going to spend with us, please stay connected so that you will not miss out on anything that we are going to be saying today. The next thing on the order of event now is to welcome our guest speaker, and we are going to be reading his citation. And I hand over now to my co-host, Dr. Tomi, my wonderful co-host for this session. So you help us with the citation of our guest speaker. After then, he's going to come up. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Testimony. So I'll be reading the citation of our awesome guest speaker. Okay. I still believe you can still hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Oh, okay. Ayodele Fashogbon is an economist at the World Bank African Gender Innovation Lab, where he leads research on innovative and scalable intervention to advance women's agricultural productivity, entrepreneurship, youth employment, and broader women economic empowerment in Africa. His work is grounded in rigorous impact evaluation methods to identify what works in promoting gender-inclusive economic outcomes, and his research has been published in peer-reviewed journals, including the Agricultural Economics and the Journal of Development Economics. Forthcoming. A central focus of its current research agenda is translating evidence into policy action, particularly through a structured and sustained policy engagement that supports Nigerian policymakers in embedding women's economic empowerment into national programs and policies. As the lead for Nigeria's Gender Innovation Lab policy engagement, Ayodele works at the interface of evidence generation and institutional change, bridging the gap between the rigorous research and actionable policy reform. Prior to his current role, he served as a consultant across multiple World Bank units, including social policy, farm and agribusiness, poverty, and the development impact evaluation, giving him a cross-sectoral perspective on development challenges. Ayodele holds a PhD in agricultural economics from the University of Fort Hare, South Africa, and is also an alumnus of the University of Ibadan, where he obtained both his bachelor's and master's degree in agricultural economics. Please, with clapping emoji and excitement in the chat group, please welcome with me Dr. Ayodele Fashokon. Thank you, sir. You can now have the floor, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it a lot. I don't take it for granted. I hope you can hear me. Can you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I don't want to waste any of our time. I want to go into the conversation as quickly as possible. And I know it's weekend, and I know many of us have different commitment for this time. Please let me know if you see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. So thank you so much again for having me. Like I said earlier, this is I do not take this for granted. It's a real privilege to be able to contribute to the community and to make sure that we all achieve the biggest goal that we all set out to achieve in this. So I'll go into this. Say good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm an economist with the World Bank, just like the citation said, and I'm very happy to share with us some of my learning and experience working in this space with all of us. For today's discussion, can you hear me? Or I can, if it's difficult, I can take out my my video.
We can hear you perfectly.
Okay, excellent. All right. Okay. So thank you so much. Like I was saying, today's discussion, I titled it "Build It, Scale It, and Honing It: Shaping Africa Future Through SMEs." Many of you are joining as economists, either within the research within the research organization, academics, or within the industry. So, and I believe that this is going to be useful to everyone, either way. So I want to thank Dr. Femi for the invitation, and also a big thanks to the Africa Young Brain for the invitation. Our central question today basically is, how do we design high-income economic program? Not just projects, but programs that takes a policy idea from a whiteboard all the way to a scalable prosperity for millions of micro, small and medium enterprises in Africa. So let's start with what matters. I know many of these figures are not strange to many of us, but 90% of businesses in sub-Saharan Africa are MSMEs. They generate roughly 80% of jobs, and based on the World Bank reports, on MSMEs across Africa. There is also $5.7 trillion on met financing needs across Naira 19 emerging markets across the globe. In Nigeria specifically, MSME contributes closely to half of the GDP. And my premise for today is very simple, but it's the thesis of everything that follows from here. High income transformation in Africa will not be led by a handful big corporations in Africa. It will be built literally by millions of MSMEs across the continent. But only if those MSMEs are financed, tested, scaled, especially using rigorous evidence, and not just by tuition, not just by untested ideas. So that is why this talk brings us together two things that don't often appear in many seminars. The financing model, the tested innovations in other climes, and the approach of testing, scaling, and owning a program, especially geared towards MSMEs across Africa. So this is the roadmap for our engagement today. To be great for us to go through some cases we'll start with the framework that I call build, scale, and own, then go deeper on each stage. How do you design a program? How do you decide when, where, and how to scale it? And how do you make sure it survives past the project closing and dates? We will grant all of this in 3 live Nigeria projects, and that many of us can draw inspiration from, or for many of us that have ideas on some programs that we would like to do, or an enterprise that we already have running that we would like to scale. Some of us can derive some inspiration from this. So like I said, this is the framework. How do we build? How do we scale? And how do we own our program? Build is where you diagnose the market and the stakeholders, where you design and who do you design for, which market you are in, and design a program that is operationally sound and policy relevant within our context. Where scale is where you decide when the evidence and operation justify scale. For example, I've built this program, I've tested it, then I think it is time for me to scale. But before we can scale, you need to think about many priorities for expansion. How do I deliver this? How do I finance the scale up? For example, I will say this example now, then I will still use it for other points. We built a program recently with Sterling Bank to finance women in agriculture, and having diagnosed that's one of the major challenges or major constraints that women face in agriculture is labor, finding labor, and also finding a very efficient labor to support them on the farm and financing the labor. So we designed something with Sterling Bank, a credit product with Sterling Bank, and we work with them to pilot it, to test it. And from there, when we see that it works, we take the idea, not just only with Sterling Bank, but with many commercial banks to see that, you can finance women, not only on input, but you can also finance their labor. And this is the return from it. They pay back fully and it also boosts their productivity. So this is an idea, for example, of how you build, how you test, and how you scale. Might not even be only with commercial banks. It can also be with some DFIs. So the third phase of this framework is owning it. How do you ensure that this idea become institutionalized within a market, within government, or within financial institutions? And how do you ensure that this is sustained? So designing an SME program specifically is very interesting. And I say most of the time, if we are able to focus our attention on many of the moving pieces, we will get it right. But if we do not, most of the time, we don't get it right. So how do you actually design an MSME's micro, small, and medium enterprise program? I know many of us are already doing it. This is sharing experience and sharing some other tips and ideas that can help many of us to fine-tune and improve what we currently do. So I want something more operational than do just diagnostics and write proposal, because that is what many people do. So here are 6 stages that have been adapted based on what we do at the World Bank and from other markets, other institutions as well, to support this process. So the first stage, ideation and diagnostics. Apology, you might hear some little background noise. I'm doing this from home, and that's my dog from the cage, I guess, because he can hear my voice. So apology. So from ideation and diagnostics, you need to do some landscaping, trend analysis, understand this position of stakeholders, have stakeholder consultation to surface the real problem. Because most of the time when we design top down instead of bottom up. So we need to design with people. And that is one thing that I learned very quickly on the job, that we need to design with people and not just not top down. We have to have strategic positioning. That is, who are you designing for from the beginning? Depending on where we are working from as independents, just to step back a little bit, the framework here for this conversation is interwoven from the micro side. Think of it as an entrepreneur if you want to go, or from the macro side, think of it as somebody that is designing a program. So I'll be going in between the two, because that is one of the things that has also failed many programs or many people, when individuals do not have experience of either starting up a business or operating it or leading it, but designing. So I'll go into both. I've been privileged to be in both ships. I've been privileged to have set up stuff, and I've been privileged to have led private business, and I've also been privileged to have been on this side of designing program, piloting, testing, evaluating, and working with government to scale what has worked. So coming back to point number 2, strategic positioning. So who are you designing for matters whenever we're designing a program. And which market are you designing for? Are you designing for women? Are you designing for livestock farmers? Are you designing for the new emerging markets, especially like mining, where we have many angles to support artisanal SMEs that want to get into small-scale mining? Are you designing for very micro businesses or nano businesses or small or medium-sized business, or are you designing for a corporate level large businesses? There are programs designed for large businesses. I give you an example of one that I'm working on, designing childcare program for large corporate businesses, both on the supply side and on the demand side. So it could be any, but you have to be sure that the program is well positioned. Then number 3 is instrument and delivery design. So what are we going to use to finance this? What is the instrument to finance this? Is it credit that is going to finance? Is it a loan? Is it a guarantee? Is it a grant scheme that you want to do? Or okay, is it a credit? Is it a non-credit technical assistance? Maybe you want to provide training. You want to provide some business support services. Is that what the project is going to be? So you need to have instrument and delivery design, and that is going to be anchored. And as much as possible, don't try to do so many things at the same time, because that's one of the things that affect many programs. We want to have a big monster. We want to provide credit. You want to provide technical assistance. You want to provide guarantee. You want to provide non-financial product in form of training, mentorship, and different kind of stuff at the same time. So you must be very strategic in terms of delivery of what you want to do. Then the fourth is about the financing and risk structure. So where is the money coming from? Who is going to finance this? For example, I've seen a couple of NGOs that have approached me. We have this idea. We want to do this. I've seen different individuals approaching. I have these ideas. While you are brewing those ideas, you must also think about financing and restructure. What is the capital size, envelope size, and the structure? Would I be able to get a blended finance, some private equity or institutional equity finance, from commercial finance, from DFI finance, or from public finance? I want to raise some capital from the public. Do I have what it takes to raise it? So these are part of the things that we need to think through, especially when we are at the design stage. And the fifth one is you need to pilot, operationally test if this idea works. One of the major problems that I've seen that many people have run into, especially when designing program, is people want to take to scale quickly. I have this brilliant idea. I want to do this program. I want to target 500,000 youth. I want to target 1 million youth. I want to target agricultural SMEs. I want to do extension work. I want to do different things. And they would think about, okay, is this idea proven? And am I sure that this works? So these are part of the things that we need to think as at the design phase of our work. So we need to track our cost per participant. We need to understand the delivery bottleneck. Not only if, this is an impactful, it's a great idea. That is not the only thing that works. So you need to appraise the idea. You need to know if it works. For example, if you're working within the government organization, if you are working with DFIs, development financial institutions, like the World Bank, or Africa Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, you need to think about all of this, the sign-off, all the sign-off that needs to happen before we move into all of this. So I don't want to assume that we all are on the same page when it comes to who are in the ecosystem of MSMEs financing. So I want us to quickly think through all of these things together. Where do we usually design programs? Not just an idea, not just designing an enterprise my own business and I want to run it, usually you design it within an institution. Even if you're a private individual and you're interested in setting up a program, maybe you want to set up a firm, or you want to set up, you want to partner with some people to design a program. Even if it is a philanthropic gesture, you need to register your company to get it done. So let's think through. I put all of this in 5 boxes for all of us to think through. There are overlapping functions across the boxes, and there are many institutions that perform just one thing. So we have the public and multilateral finance angle. Oh, sorry. Finance angle, and this is where we have the likes of the World Bank, as multilateral DFIs, Africa Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank. We have the bilateral DFIs, like the British International Investment. We have the German International Investment Banks. So bilaterals are those that are usually set up by one government, one developed nation institutions, and interact with other institutions. So we have the AFD by France, and a couple of, we have the China one, we have the Japan JICA, and a couple of other ones in there. Then we have the government and DFIs working together. For example, we have the Development Bank of Nigeria, who I work with a lot recently. We have SMIDAN, we have CBN. CBN used to, but now CBN has cut back based on their new policy, new priority that have been set at the CBN. So the development finance departments has cut down a lot of development financing activities at DBN recently. So if you move from there, so you might be working in this in public or multilateral finance, and you want to design or want to contribute to a team that is designing an MSME's program. So it might be within the private capital or private institution, like commercial financial institution or fintech, Access Bank, Sterling Bank, Paystock, Flutterway. Many of them do time to time moving from their traditional credits and come up with a program or a particular credit product like Sway Hackfin. That is, for example, I've worked with Sterling Bank, like I mentioned earlier. Sway Hackfin is Sterling Bank women agricultural finance credit products that combines not only credits but provide training, extension services, and all of that to women farmers. So it could be within that space. It could be with impact investors, venture capital, or private equity firm. So these are part of organizations that also provide, it could be just financial products targeted to a particular segment. It could be a combination of financial product and non-financial products targeted to some segment as well. It could be philanthropic or civil society, like the Ford Foundation, like Rockefeller, Gates Foundation, MasterCard. It could be NGO, like I've said earlier, like BRAC, like we have T.Y. Danjuma, we have Dangote Foundation in Nigeria, we have TechnoSouth, we have CARES International, a lot of international and local NGO. They're also having programs that maybe you're working there. It could be entrepreneurial support organization like CCC Hub in Nigeria, like FAIT, MSMEs, Ops. A lot of them are there. It could be knowledge and coordination. Academic and research institutions, now they have different units, agencies, platform where they set up a program. For example, in agriculture, target providing extension support because it could be low capital project. They could also attract partnership from other institutions, finance institutions to run some programs as well. It could be multi-stakeholder platform. For example, the Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion, SME Finance Forum, Alliance for Financial Inclusion. These are global platforms. Some of them are under G20. Some of them are in coalition of different DFIs targeting a particular cause. So you could be working in any of these boxes, institutions that I categorize within each of these boxes. So So you want, this is where most likely naturally where people design programs supporting SMEs. So I just want to put it in perspective so that we're not just talking above ourselves here. So as part of the build structure, the part of the build, and there are a lot of things you want to consider, design consideration that makes or break a program. First is this policy relevant? Is this program aligned with national development priority and strategy? Is it aligning with public sector or sectoral policy or company partnership framework? Each of organization have its own internal policy. You're also supporting citizens or population of a particular country. You also want to know what is the direction that country is going, so that whatever you are designing, it aligns, serve both your organization goal, strategy goal, and also the country goal. So you must be sure that whatever you are designing aligns with those priorities. Then the next one is, who are you actually designing for? You must think about this. Who am I designing this particular program for? Am I designing it for micro, small, or medium organization? Am I designing it for informal or formal sector? For women-led, for youth, agribusiness? You must think about this design feature, because most of the time, this is where many of our programs also fall short. In terms of targeting, who are you designing this program for? Is it livestock farmers? Even within livestock farmers, you might be interested in cattle, you might be interested in poultry, or is it, so just think about, who am I designing for? Which markets are you designing for? It's another thing. You must define your market. Is it going to be a cross-boundary market, or is it a Nigeria market? Is it within Nigeria? Is it within a particular sector, a particular value chain? Geographically, you may want to define your market. Sectorally, you want to define your market. This is very key in terms of success of whatever we do. And understanding the general policy environment is also a major thing. In terms of access to credit, for example, business registration, do you need collateral registry to have access to credits for the people for the population you're designing for? So you must think about all of these things when designing a program. So one of the things that is also very critical, but many people overlook at the stage of building, is the fact that we need to think about the learning agenda whenever we are building. And like I said earlier, at this building stage, you must think about build, pilot, test, and measure to be sure that my idea will work, especially will stand the test of time when it comes to scaling. So we must think through all of these things. For example, when we are dealing with startups, either you're dealing with startups or you're dealing with those that are already established in the market, and you want to have a program to support them. You don't want to leave them vulnerable, especially if it is a startup program. You don't want to mislead people when you say, oh, this works, and you want to scale. You want to be sure that this is well grounded. And I know that many of us are economics. So, and this is why this is very important for us. And I included this particular slide deliberately, that we need to measure, learn to put our skills that we have developed on the skills to help our organization to measure what works rigorously, what works, and help them to think through the pathway to scale in terms of what works. So we will have to get to that point of build, measure, learn, loop. into whatever we do, especially at the initial stage. And one of this that is very important is I would like to bring this idea of A/B testing and RCT into perspective on this. I know this is weekend. Many of us might be maybe having several engagements. I'd like to go over this as quickly as possible so that we can go for other things. But I hope this will be useful for us. So A/B testing is very quick, rapid assessment, impact evaluation method that is usually used by many corporate organizations and startup to quickly test different features of their offering to know what works and what doesn't work. This is a big deal in the tech and e-commerce world. And I know many startups are going into tech, into entertainment, into leveraging on social medias, leveraging on so many e-commerce platforms to either to deliver one goods or services. So A/B testing is very important. It could be one message, one screen differences, one reminder rules, and all of those things to measure business outcome, operational metrics. This can be done quickly, dozens, thousands per year, and it's very cheap to run. Basically, usually the purpose is to optimize delivery of services. But RCT, on the other hand, takes more than that. Or RD or matching takes more than that. It's a high stake, especially when you are focusing on, you want to measure impact on livelihoods, public capital, measuring structural welfare outcome like income, employment, and the likes. It's very key that you have RCT embedded in what you do, and it might not be super costly, but it's more expensive than A/B testing. So you might want to think through some of these things. But just to give us the perspective in terms of the scale of experimental evidence and how it helps to shape a lot of things in the world right now. In the United States alone, Booking.com does nothing less than 25,000 A/B testing every year. Amazon, through their web lab as well, thousands of experiments every year. And for Amazon, for example, these quick experiments in the last few years have added nothing less than 35% to their sale. Google, LinkedIn, all these organizations, they do A/B testing to adjust features, to know what will attract people to their platform quickly, and to know what will engage people. We see a lot of this, for example, with LinkedIn. Many of us interact with LinkedIn. You see, what I see sometime on my page will be different from what you see, because they're doing different kind of testing. They do some suggestion based on people in my localities. Some they do some suggestion based on people, friend suggestion based on alumni networks, and they see that, okay, which one works better in terms of people growing their networks. If I suggest people within their environment, within their region, within their states, within their local government, would they be willing to connect with those, or people within their alumni? And quickly they know which one works better for different target population, and they use that to fine-tune how they bring suggestion or friendship to people. So this is an example. Spotify, Zalando in Germany, Lebicon in France, all this in Europe, they do a lot of testing. So as economists, these are places that we could think about, especially when we work in a team to design a program. Asia, you'd see a lot of A/B testing being done on different platforms within different institutions. But when we come to Africa, you will see that we have less of this being done in Africa. And this, for me, it calls for attention, especially among economists, for us to think through, hone our skills, and think through how we can make sure that we can help our organization, not just to think of designing a program, but to think about feedback loop, quick feedback loop on how we can fine-tune, improve different aspects of our program. It doesn't have to be based on a platform basis. We've done it on credit offering, providing short credit, short cycle credit to SMEs. It could be testing different repayment methods, testing different credit size for different organizations. I'm doing one on Nigeria for Women projects. I don't know if many of us have heard about that program, testing something like this. Or if I tweak repayment rather than women repaying within 3 months, if I tweak it to 5 months, will they be willing to take more credit? If rather than making their credit limit to ×3 of their savings, what about making it ×5 of their savings that they can have? They can borrow as much as ×5 of their savings rather than the standard ×3 of their savings. Would they be more willing to pay? Would they be more willing to take more credit when the credit limit is relaxed? So quickly you can, within few days, within few months, you can quickly get results on this, and this can be used to fine-tune programs of, that you are working on. So let's get to the second part of the puzzle of the framework that we started with, scale. When we have tested, when we have looked at different dimensions of our work, the next is we want to scale. Oh, this has worked. I've taken time to step back to make sure that I put this to test. to validate this idea. Then I want to scale. So you want to think about when is it ideal to scale and where to scale to. These are major priority questions that you want to think about. When should I scale my program? When operational model is proven, not just impact. Not that, oh, this program has improved access to credit by 30%, by 40% among my enterprise MSMEs I'm working with. Not just only about the impact, but the operational model, the strategy of making that credits available. Or when I adjust the credit risk assessment rather than based on collateral requirement. I adjusted it, I tested this to make it based on collateral registry or based on psychosocial measurement to know trust that, which measure trust and grit most of the time, to know that, when I did it, I offer credit to people based on some alternative credit scoring. It delivers impact. You must understand how and why it delivers that impact, rather than just, it delivers impact. Before, when you have clear view of how it did work, then you can think about scaling. You must also understand, are you seeing waitlist take up exceeding target? I planned during the planning phase, during the testing phase, the target was to reach 20,000 farmers. The target was to reach 20,000 hairdresser, but eventually about 100,000 actually subscribed. Yes, then you are seeing some take up. You are seeing some good ideas that this program you're working with, it's working. In addition to the fact that you have seen some impact, are you seeing many people on the waiting list? So these are part of the things that will sort of guide you. Not that you roll out a program for 50,000 or 10,000 people, only a handful of 100 showed up. And you say, okay, this has worked. I want to take it to 1 million or 100,000. When the target was 10,000 for within first year, but only a few hundred showed up. Then you want to think about scale. It doesn't work that way. So you need to think about some of those things. The government absorptive capacity is also another thing you want to think about. Will government be interested? If you are designed to be transferred to government, will government be interested in taking this? I'm working on a particular product, which is digital precision agricultural extension services. For example, I'm designing with an international organization to come up with digital agricultural precision extension. And while I'm designing, I must think, okay, where am I taking this to? Because it's also very expensive. Will government be able to take it, even when I've shown that this works, to provide site-specific, farmer-specific advisory to help them improve their productivity, to help them with decision-making on their farm at different time horizon in their production cycle. And I've seen that this works, but because of the technicality, because of what it takes, will government be willing? Would the government have the money to absorb it, to scale it? These are part of the things that helps to think about when to scale. Or you should just keep it, continue to fine-tune it, and while you figure that out. Political and budget commitments secured for sustained financing is also very critical, that we must all think about whenever we want to plan to scale. Where do I want to scale to? It's also a major question when it comes to scaling. Which priority market are most similar to the one that I piloted with that I want to, for example, I piloted something in, I see that most people here seems to come from the Southwest. I piloted something in Southwest Nigeria. And I'm now asking that I want to scale it across Nigeria. Will it really work? Would that be the best way when I want to scale? I piloted with women. Now I want to say, oh, everybody should adopt it. Will it really work if everybody should adopt it? So where, in terms of priority, do I want to go to? Absorb the capacity of the local finance institutions, institutional infrastructures. These are very critical things to think about. Transferability of and empirical questions. In terms of this has worked, and with this particular level of impact, that, oh, when I did it in Southwest, it improved income of the enterprise that were supported by 50%. Will it increase income in the North or in the East with the same margin? Or this? So these are part of the things that, and that's why I said there are a lot of feedback loop into all of this. If you think that, oh, this is a major thing, maybe you want to step back a little bit before thinking of scale up. Maybe you want to test it in different regions of the country before you begin to think about scale up of an operation. Choosing a delivery model is also very critical. Where do I, on what platform do I want to scale this? Do I want to scale using government platform, for example? I think I cited Madam Ronti on the list earlier, who works with the National Social Registry in the country. Maybe you are doing a program targeting small, medium or nano businesses, especially within poor household. That is what your program is supporting. And you want to think about, in terms of scaling, oh, we have a social register in Nigeria. Do I want to work with the people behind the social register who, because I believe that the register contains, or because I know that the register contains the list of poor people across different parts of Nigeria? So do I want to work with them, for example, to scale this platform? Do I want to work with a big national corporation in Nigeria to scale this up? I've tested it. Do I want to approach Development Bank of Nigeria, for example, and to say, this is an idea, and can we and you show the impact, and can we work together to scale this idea? Or do I want to work within a market system to crowd in people, to crowd in people through an aggregation model or through a bank or fintech to support, to scale it? Or do I want to do a phased rollout system? These are part of the things that you want to think about. And like I put here, that in making this decision, there are some fidelity risk involved in all of these things. For example, I had tested a non-financial product before with agribusinesses in Nigeria under the Appeals Project. And what we tested there was social emotional skills training targeted at micro and small agribusinesses in Nigeria, for example. And there have also been a PI, personal initiative training, specifically in Benin Republic, targeted at small businesses, micro and small businesses in Benin Republic, in Benin Republic. And what we found out in there was that this program was very impactful compared to the business as usual training. And what the personal initiative does is that it helps entrepreneur to think with a growth mindset and to think with grit that, oh, I have these small businesses, so where do I want it to take it to in the next 1 year, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Help them to make that kind of plan and help them to have strategy of how they will take that businesses to growth with growth mindset. So when we did this training, for example, it improved profit, it improved business survival. And when we took the same training, the personal initiative training, to Ethiopia, this training had no effect. Why? In Benin Republic, we delivered this training through individual, private, individual consultants that deliver the training. But in Ethiopia, when we deliver the training, we deliver it through a government technical college. And this didn't have impact, you see. So these are part of the things in terms of design rules. You want to think about how you transfer, how you scale what you have piloted, and how you want to think about taking it to scale. In terms of financing the scale up, this is also part of the things that we need to think through. Do I want to, you have different options in terms of financing. Wherever you work with, like I've said, like the 4 buckets that I earlier spoke to, you work with multinational developments, you work with the private sector, you work with philanthropic organization, you work with academia or think tank. You want to think, and you're having a program, MSMEs program, you want to think, where would the money come from, especially in terms of scaling. After you have piloted, you have tested it, oh, this works, where would the money come from? So do you want to do some partial credit guarantees, which helps with the first loss risk adoption? We can talk more about that, and I can also bring some experts to introduce some experts to you later on if you are interested. This is a major one that's shaping the landscape of financing now, especially going into emerging markets where most banks do not want to finance. It helps to can guarantee up to 8% of loss, and they take the first loss. So this is a major one. Do we want to look for DFI or blended capital to co-finance that idea through IFC, for example, if you are individual or a corporation? But if you're a government, you work within government, you can approach organizations like the World Bank. They only lend to government. World Bank lend only to government, but IFC lends to corporate, individual, or corporate organizations. Or do you want to think about result-based financing? There are opportunities when it comes to result-based financing these days, especially within World Bank finance programs or projects or other DFI finance projects. And how result-based financing, it could be either through matching grants or the likes. How it works is you bring your own resources through a government program, you get support. Okay, oh, this is my idea. I've done this. I'm running these businesses, or I'm doing this. I'm an aggregator working with smallholder farmers or working with small enterprises to provide technical support to them and uptake their products, their goods and services to a bigger corporation. And this is what I do. Oh, but I have some funding gaps and all of that. This is what I have on the table, or what we have from our organization on the table. This is our funding gap. And you provide justification that this is a major development financing, and there's a major development financing gap and angle to it. This can help those farmers or small scale businesses to improve their earnings, and they can be out of poverty, or this can make them embrace climate-friendly practices. These are development lingo that people want to hear. If you are talking to development financing organization, for example, oh, this will help me crowd in more women or more youth into the program. Then they want to, and if the program objective aligns with it, for example, I'm going to take us 2 or 3 development projects that we have from the World Bank that might be very interesting for some of us that are within that space. So that's an example. There are other funding sources that you may also want to explore. For example, government budget lines, maybe when they have something open, counterpart funding, or it could be local capital market, it could be diaspora impact investors, like I've said before, and these impact investors come in different ways. You can have those that are angel investors, you can have impact investors, you can have venture capital, and different kind of things. Angel investors, the support at the seed stage, at the very starting in the beginning, and some of them support all of those things. It could be equity investors, people that are ready to, it depends on how they want to structure the finance. It could be equity, it could be debt, it could be any of those kind of stuff. So I've talked about matching grant facility before, so I'll move quickly from here. Now let's talk about a few working examples, like I've said. For example, we have the fin include financial architecture, fin include projects from the World Bank, which will be open to people to begin to reach out and support corporation individual very soon. It will become effective maybe before the end of this year, and you'll hear a lot of things about it. So it's a World Bank capital, a World Bank loan given to working with Development Bank of Nigeria as a catalytic institution to power SMEs in Nigeria specifically. This is an example. I'll tell us a little bit more later on, and it focuses on MSMEs specifically. It provides inclusive finance capital, provide both the debt instrument, equity instrument to underserved segment. Don't forget, like I said, when it comes to development financing, it's usually underserved, not where market is already thriving. Is it that maybe in mining or women segment of the markets that are still struggling, youth or different underserved segment? So that is where, for climate, people, for practices to adapt, improve climate practices and all of those things. So you want to think about some of those things. It also includes de-risking, providing guaranteed technical assistance and digitalization. Now let's go to the last puzzle of the framework, which is honing what you have developed, what you have scaled, to make sure that it's well grounded, is well institutionalized within the system, either within government or within the sector that you work in, for example. To get this done, one major thing is that you have to make sure that you find a legal and regulatory framework that you can embed this into. You have to codify the program. One example is the National Cash Transfer Program that is happening. It started as a project. Gradually, the government embraced it. People have piloted different cash transfer to see how it works, for example. And after that, people have seen that this is a thing that needs to be done. Government embraced it eventually. They set up the National Poverty Eradication Agency that is embracing a lot of these things. So it then have a legal backing and all of that. So that is an example. It could be a platform integration that you want to make sure that this is well integrated into a platform in terms of owning it, rather than setting up one structure in a local place. You want to make sure that, oh, these things that I'm running to support technical training to MSMEs. What about just talking to SMIDA and making sure that, oh, this is not what SMIDA has been doing, and you engage SMIDA, and SMIDA says that, oh, this is a nice thing to be, and that we would like to embrace it. And would you like to sit? Can we create a space for you in our office across the country, and we can partner together and do these things? Then you have a big platform You integrate into a bigger platform to get things done. So these are part of the things that you have to think about when it comes to institutionalizing, either finding a legal and regulatory framework or system to embed yourself, look for a bigger platform, or build strong capacity for handover, especially through your M&E system, to make sure that if you want to scale this, you want to institutionalize this, you want to push it into a bigger institution, make sure that you have all that it takes to domesticate it within different sector in different economy. In Africa, you want to take it to Kenya, Ghana Republic, different places. Make sure that you package it well so that it can be institutionalized. We have to sustain and measure long-run impact. That is one way of institutionalizing or owning what you have. For example, you as an economist, for many of us that are here, you make sure that you have good evaluation, like what we did on the National Cash Transfer Program, that is showing evidence that this has worked and is attracting a lot of interest. The same thing is happening on the Nigeria for Women project with the platform the project is building, the work platform and others. People are seeing that this is work. It's not just word of mouth. To show that this is sustainable, you have to do robust impact evaluation around this, show cost effectiveness, that this is quite cost effective, for example. And you also want to do some qualitative evidence, have some documentary evidence of impact, have some case studies that this really works. Do some cost effectiveness, compare the unit cost of delivering this program to other clients, that how much does it cost per person, per participant of the project, per household, per enterprise, to deliver this training, compared to other program in other countries. This helps people to make judgment call about if this is sustainable or if it is not sustainable. If I want to own it, if I want to support you, or if I don't want to support you. So these are things that you want to think about. Now I want to go quickly to close. I know most likely I've gone beyond my time. So agro is one project at the World Bank that the World Bank and the Nigeria government just signed up into early in the year. March was approved by the bank in March. It's a value chain, agricultural value chain for growth in Nigeria. And this provides a result-based financing matching grant facility for agribusinesses for either individual businesses or aggregators. Some of us here might have businesses, big businesses, or working in corporations that want to be an aggregator, that you want to work with many farmers, supply input, supply credit to them, supply, and afterwards take their outputs and sell to international market or to a big multinational corporation, like for example, to a company, I don't want to mention any company, a company producing cereal for children, a company producing sugar, that you want to aggregate sugar cane. And that's what you're doing. That's what your company is doing. You're supporting local farmers and bringing them together. This type of project supports you. But they have priority value chain, rice, maize, cassava, and soya beans. And they also provide supporting National Digital Farm Registry in Nigeria. So it's a 6-year project, expected to start by the end of this year and will run to 2032. It's also planning to crowd in about 220 million US dollars to support from private capital and target about 1 million plus farmers. So think about this. Whatever you're doing, this might be what you want to plan to align with either in terms of finance or technical support on your ideas or whatever you're working on. So think about that. This within the agribusiness space. FinInclude, like I was saying earlier, just to give you more flavor, FinInclude is also another project that was approved by the bank in December last year. It's not effective compared similar to agro, and that's why I'm bringing those that are new to you. So this also before the end of this year or when the election is concluded, I think this will be effective so people can begin to engage this. This also aims to support about 250 MSMEs to gain access to expanded debt financing in Nigeria. And another good thing about this, it's also providing the guarantee, and it's also testing, what is it called? It's testing equity financing as well. So think about this. This is one thing that you want to think about. If you one thing to just differentiate between FinInclude project from Agro. Agro is a state finance project that is. Hello, can you hear me? Sorry, to be sure that we are on the same page. I'm almost done.
Yes, sir. We are on the same page, sir. We are
Okay,
following.
thank you. All right, excellent. So Agro is a state finance, so not all states will be involved in all of this too, because some of you might be interested. Some states will express interest, some states will not express interest. But for FinInclude, this is going to go across all the 36 states plus FCT. And FinInclude, for example, is going to be delivered through Development Bank of Nigeria and in partnership with several commercial banks in Nigeria and with fintech and a couple of other financial institutions. So this is going to go through across all the 36 states. So you might want to be on the lookout for this. NGKS across all the 36 states as well supports nano and micro businesses, household based businesses in Nigeria. So you want to think about, I know many of us might have heard about NGKS in the past, and that's what NGKS does. So bringing it all together, we have some evidence of what has worked, what has not worked from my team at the bank. Especially, we know if you are thinking about how should I position myself, what should I do within all of these things, you might want to think about this. So that's why I'm bringing this. For example, if you're thinking of development financing, like I said, in terms of development financing, you want to think about where the development trajectory. Are people, are government and development finance institutions thinking about agriculture? Are they thinking about solid mineral? Are they thinking about youth? Are they thinking about women? Are they thinking about other stuff? So these are part of the things you want to think about. For us, especially in Gender Innovation Lab, one of the things we know in terms of women and why many development financing is going through that direction is the fact that women earn less in agriculture, 30% less per hectare compared to men. In non-farm enterprise, other businesses, they earn 60% less than men. And in wage employment, between 22 to 40% less wage when they are in wage employment compared to men, right? And we know several things that are also driving this. This might be things that you want to structure some of your program around. When it comes to agriculture, men manage businesses compared to men manage farm compared to female managed farm, for example. Women have less access to inputs compared to men. They have less access to productive labor compared to men. And there's also some segregations in terms of what women cultivate compared to what men cultivate. Men sort of cultivate cereals, while men sort of cultivate vegetable and fruit, and this sort of limits their earning capacity. When it comes to businesses, women businesses are smaller compared to men. Women also sell to final consumers. That is, women sort of in the lower rung, so they need to move up in the ladder so that they can earn more and comparable to men. Similar in wage employment, there's also the major problem with major challenge here is occupational segregation. Women work in services that are paying very low, like that are paying very low compared to men. So we can talk more around this. So, and if you close gender gap in productivity, it can add up to 22 billion per year to Nigeria GDP. So this is a big justification around what you can do. Continentally, across Africa, there are also evidence around some of these things. Access to capital is a major thing for women. Sector segregation, women clusters in low profit, female-dominated sector, for example, in hairdressing, in tailoring, and where there are where they have this concentration, the profit taking is lower compared to if a woman is an electrician. A woman who is an electrician on average earn more than a woman who is an hairdresser. So helping women to understand this and help them to cross over to male-dominated sector, high-earning sector, helps women to earn more and all of that. Skill gap is also another thing that you want to think about while you are doing your program. So bringing everything together, I put this in when I thought about some of these things as well. I'm thinking about busting some myths in terms of MSMEs financing. Busting myths in MSME. Some have said MSMEs fail mainly because bank will lend to them. Is that really true? The binding constraint here is usually having track record credit history, which many SMEs do not have. Acceptable collateral, or even that many financial institutions can work with. So not MSMEs do not just fail because the bank will not lend to them. It's also there are some stuff that are that they need to have. And this is where many of us that are thinking of programs needs to help think through and see how we can address some of these things. More credit alone drive MSMEs growth. That is not always true. It's not only about providing credit, providing loans, and all of that to MSMEs that will drive them. There are needs for non-financial products like training, mentoring. That is why many of us, I know you're familiar with some of this lingo in the business sector. We talk about business incubation. We talk about business acceleration platform. So many of these business incubation platform, for example, help SMEs beyond just financing, because most of the time it's not only about financing. There are disciplines. Many SMEs are not disciplined with finance. They do not separate personal spending from business spending. All of these things. So business skill, market access, technical assistance are also needed. Collateral registry alone unlock lending. That is not always true. This has been tested that even when collateral registry is there, it provides marginal increase to access to credit for MSME. Pilots don't need rigorous evaluation before scaling. This I cannot overstress. I think I've talked about it. You need a lot of piloting, fine-tuning before you think about scaling your practice. And don't just base your scaling on intuition, on, oh, this works. Okay, so let's go out. Let's go all out and scale this program. Learn to pilot before you scale. So to summarize this, like bringing everything together, design with data, pilot with rigor, de-risk private capital as much as possible, track disaggregated outcome across different components of your project, build decisional ownership, evaluate before you scale. These are my practical tips as much as possible when you think about scaling. For our junior or students that might be in the room, where can I find myself in all of this? Think about, you can find yourself in terms of evidence and M&E. That you can work to make sure when you're in the room as economists, or as the case may be, to make sure that you are an advocate of, let's design for evidence and run some testing, either RCT, matching, take up some skills in all of these things. It will help. It will help you to make good contribution, especially in the era of AI, that the AI is taking over many things. You must think about some of these things. What can I do to be above what machine can do? What artificial intelligence will do? What value can I bring to the table? So you could think about some of these things. Policy design. Think about translate evidence into bankable, either state, federal, regional, or global SME policy. How can I pick up skills that can help me in terms of policy design? Financing and banking. I cannot stress this all but in isolation. I think I've mentioned this a lot. Things are changing in terms of financing. Think about structured blended financing, credit guarantee. How do you do the de-risking instrument? How do you do private equity? How do you do impact lending, angel lending, angel lending, and all of those things? Have an understanding and see how you can bring all of these things to be on the table, especially when you're designing programs, when you're thinking about scaling, when you're thinking about institutionalizing your program. You can also be an expert in program design. I want to just focus on program design. I want to design evidence program. Make sure that when you're in the room, make sure that people are designing program, let it be evidence driven. Let it be grounded in evidence. Even you might have ideas. Make sure that you fine tune. Make sure you test some of these ideas with what has happened, with what other people have done in the past. And this will help to bring all of this together to make sure that we can all build, scale, and own our ideas, our program together in a sustainable manner. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. An apology if I've taken more than the time that you thought. Thank you very much.
I expect that we start putting our hands together. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayodele Fashogun. That was a wonderful presentation. I'm yet to see our reactions, our emojis, our clapping hands. What a delivery! What a delivery! And you know, a lot of minds have been informed about the MSMEs, and there's been a generous discourse and explanation on what we really came here for: designing high income economic program from policy ideas to scalable prosperity. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate. And by the opportunity, giving the opportunity that AYB has conferred on myself and my host and my co-host rather, we really appreciate this time. Thank you so much for this moment. Thank you so much. So now we are in the section of question and answers. So I would love to take questions, vocal questions. Sure that we might have a lot of persons that want to answer questions. So if you want to answer your question, I'll give 3 persons to raise their hands now. Raise your hand if you want to ask a question vocally. Let me hear from you. So I have Dr. Oluwatomiwa. He wants to ask a question. He has raised up his hand. Let me see if we have other participants who wants to raise their hands. So if you have any question for Dr. Ayodele, he's ready, more than ready. He has enough time to answer our questions. Okay, maybe while we are waiting for others, let's hear from you, Dr. Oluwatomiwa. You can unmute your mic and ask your questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Simon. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayodele, for that amazing lecture. Thank you so much, sir. In fact, I must say this is startup 101. Yes, with policy and governance at its base. Thank you so much. Question real quick is that Nigeria happens to be one of Africa's largest entrepreneur, right? But yet many of these MSMEs, right, they struggle to scale due to efficient exchange rate volatility, limited access to affordable finance in a way. My question is, if you were to advise the Nigerian government today, what 3 policy reforms would you prioritize, right, over the next 5 years to help MSMEs become more globally competitive? Now, because my question actually is coming from a startup mindset in a way, because I honestly feel like for a startup to thrive, the policy of the government will also have to add, or will I say the policy to us to favor the startup company. So what do you think what advice could you say government or today, right? What policy reform would you prioritize over the next 5 years to help business thrive, especially at the global level? Thank you, sir.
All right, I believe Doctor has noted that question. Do you have any other question before Doctor comes up to answer your question, Dr. Oluwatomiwa? Do you have any other question? Okay. While we are waiting for others, I will show interest so you can answer his question, sir.
No, thank you so much for that question. I think that's a recurring question around, but I appreciate that you brought it forward. So when it comes to policy to support SMEs, they are different at different levels. Like many of us are very conversant around many of the things around ease of doing business in Nigeria. That's the business enabling secretariat of the government predicts this current government, and all of that have been doing. And many of their recommendations have been also implemented across at the national and subnational level. And these are the critical things that needs to happen to make startup work and to make the existing businesses to survive and thrive. So I'll mention a few of them that's already going on, and maybe the government can also do a bit more around it. And like many people will say, Nigeria do not suffer from lack of policy. It's more about around the implementation of most of this policy. So I give you, if you want to start from usually the big elephant in the room, access to capital. There are a lot of policy around access to capital for startup. And many of them are also coming, being some of this policy from the DBN on financial inclusion strategy, for example, to help small businesses to have access to credit, either at a subsidized interest rate or at something below the market interest rate. So many of them instruments that government is using to make some of these happen is through programs and projects. The policy is there, the policy statement, it needs strategy to achieve it. And that is where the major gap is most of the time. The policies are statement, they are government directions of where government wants to go. But to make sure that it gets to the target population is usually the lacuna, where the gaps are. So here, like I said, on FinInclude, financial inclusion projects from the World Bank provide opportunity for SMEs to have access to subsidized credit, for example. So that is one thing that you want to talk about when it comes to business. The other thing is formalizing business. The evidence are there, but mixed in terms of formalization, business formalization, because that is usually like the basis of most of government support. If a government want to support or want to think about businesses, the business needs to be formalized. Although I don't want to get into the literature or evidence around business formalization. That when you formalize a business, does that really help to grow the business in terms of income or in terms of survival? That is another box that I don't want to go into. But let's talk about the idea behind the formalization. It's very critical. Government is supporting SMEs at different levels to formalize, register, so that they can have access to government support that can help them. This is there through CAC, through SMIDAN. We all hear some of these things. But however, the ease of formalization to get it done, is that really easy? Can everybody get access to the platform? In terms of paying for the formalization, getting the certificates, and also all the things, the benefit of formalization, do people have access to it? So these are part of the things that I think, if I want to advise government, is more around to make sure that it's not just making the policy statement or support. We must make sure that we support either working with community-based organization to make sure that some of these policy and instrument of the policy are translated and also facilitated to the target beneficiary, the SMEs, so that they can have access to it. to the business formalization, for example. That's another side. In terms of other services, that is, in terms of ease of access to land. You want to buy land, you want to register your businesses, you want to get licenses for different kind of work. These are also the same challenges. And the government have different policies around this. So like I said, it's not that, oh, we don't have this policy. These policies most of the time exist that can help SMEs, but it's more about engaging, connecting the policy instrument, and the target population. And that is where many of us also get involved. And that is where many people are making a lot of money, in the private sector, in the civil society, and connecting this instrument with the people and reduce the bottleneck, help people to reduce the bottleneck. There are enterprises that are making money in helping people to reduce bottlenecks and in terms of engaging with some of these services. So for me, if there's one thing that I would sort of address at the micro level, is about helping enterprise reduce the bottleneck of the policies of government. I give you a very good case in time is about taxes. Government is saying SMEs should pay taxes, for example. And when you pay taxes, and also make sure that the benefit of the taxes also get to the SMEs. But getting to pay the taxes is also very cumbersome. It takes a whole lot of stuff. How can we make sure that to first help SMEs to understand, especially those that are newly formalized, to understand the value of taxes, help them on how they can connect with the tax system easily. If you ask people to pay tax and they do not even have an idea that, oh, they may just need to fill out information, even they might not be qualified to pay anything, but just filling that information and just filing helps the country alone, even without paying, because you are not eligible to pay now, or you are enjoying some tax holiday. But filling it can help us get a very clear, better picture of our GDP. But if you don't fill it, there's a lot of things that are missing in terms of revenue that is being created, in terms of GDP in Nigeria. So these are the major things. In terms of policy, for me, I think as a government, in terms of policy, we need to get to the fine detail, not making the big pronouncement about, oh, I'm giving tax holiday, oh, I'm waiving registration fee for organization, oh, I'm removing or reducing the registration for CO, CFOs for land, or reducing different permits to run businesses, or all of those things. But connecting them to those services is very critical. Let me stop here.
All right, thank you so much. I want to know if we have any other questions. And I believe Dr. Oluwatomiwa, I believe he has answered your question very well and you understand everything he said.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, all right, thank you very much. So we are still waiting for those who have questions. If you have questions, want to know. Dr. Adele, I just need to appreciate you once more, and let me just read the names of those who commented after your lecture. Saluatomo, of course, the person who just asked question, said thank you, sir. Deborah Okochi said thank you for the wonderful lecture, sir. Said this is profound and thanks so much for the presentation. Good use of this information. And also Oluremi Akintayo says thanks so much for this loaded session. Ibrahim Olaiwola says brilliant submission from Dr. Ayo. Professor Oluwafemi says a great lecture, very informative and thought-provoking to push one to action. So it's from these entries, sir, you've really impacted us today, and I really We really appreciate you on behalf of AYP, on behalf of Dr. Femi Awoyomi, and on behalf of everyone who has listened to you today. I want to really appreciate you, and also on behalf of my co-host. My co-host, are you still around? Are you still there? I want you to say a word of appreciation to
Yes, I'm still here.
our guest speaker.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir, Dr. Ayodele. Thank you so much. In fact, I so much love the way you dissected my question. In fact, thank you so much, sir. I mean, I really appreciate it. And thank you for honoring our invitation. We hope to see you more. We hope to see you on, more on our webinars. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to have a quick shout out to my mentor, one of my and my dependable boss, Professor Yusuf. I think I see Professor Yusuf from the University of Ibadan, and also here at the World Bank on the screen. And I also see a couple of my former classmates at the University of Ibadan on the contact list. It's a pleasure to be here. So I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for finding time to join, and for Professor Yusuf, I really appreciate. This is part of what you built inside of us at the University of Ibadan, and your mentoring here at the bank while here, and I'm a product of that, and I thank you for finding time to join. And it's a pleasure to be here. Like I said to Dr. Femi, when I'm not sure if I sounded that it's not about the number, it's not about the people on the online for the work, because I've had a very bad experience with a speaker that I want invited who said, "Oh, how many people are going to be in the room? If it is less than this number, I'm not going to be in the room." And I said, "Okay, you can. I'm not going to force you to come for my event either way." So it's about the substance, it's about the people, it's about the ability, and I mean the opportunity to contribute to national discourse, and hopefully some of this is useful in our engagement going forward. So it's a pleasure to be here on the call. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, we have actually come to the end of the discourse. The reason why we are here is to get the information from Dr. Ayodele Fashogun, and he has delivered excellently. So, but I'm just hesitating just to see if we have a few persons who have questions. But there's a question here, and the person said, "How can we link up with you after now, please?" So, sir, can you help us with your LinkedIn link, or your LinkedIn profile, what we should search, or any social media handle you want us to follow you, so that we can, catch up with any information you have.
Happy to. I will share it on the on the chat now.
Okay. So I'll be waiting for that. Miss Ibukolo Adedeji, you asked that question, so watch out for the group chat. He's going to drop oh, he has dropped it now. So if you are active, you are there, you can just check it, check the chat box. So he has dropped, Dr. Ayodele Fashion has dropped this LinkedIn profile link. So you could just click that link and get through to him and connect with him.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh,
I've sent the
beautiful
link
question.
profile. Yes, thank you.
All right. Beautiful question from Professor Oluwafemi. Sir, we would also need the material. The material, it's so rich, and I think some persons were not able to get all the information at a glance. So how can we get the material, sir?
Yeah, I shared already with Dr. Femi. If you want me to share, I can also share. I can share. I mean, Dr. Femi Awoyomi, but I can also. He has it, and I know he will be able to circulate it with everyone and share with everyone.
All right, no problem. Sir. Dr. Belumi is also saying this is rich, comprehensive, and information-packed, filled with valuable insights and practical knowledge. So I believe your question around the material sharing has been answered by Dr. Ayadele. So I can see Dr. Suleiman Yusuf raising his hand. You can actually speak now, sir.
That's Prof.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Or is it afternoon? Okay, about afternoon. I didn't want to talk before. I just wanted to sit back and listen to Dr. Ayodele Fashodman deliver his lecture. And I'm not surprised that he has given us the best as far as this particular topic is concerned. I will reconnect back with Ayo after this meeting so that we can chat a little bit more. But thank you very much for keeping the flag flying and high at every point in time. We are more than proud of you any day, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. It's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you, Prof.
So it looks like it's a reconnection of a reconnection of friends, um, colleagues, partners in progress, and many more. So I believe that today is actually more than a discuss. It's a time to hear from each other, learn from each other, because learning never ends. And I'm so happy that Dr. Adele is getting his flowers even before the end of the event. So a lot of good remarks and wishes here on the chat box. You could just check it through too, sir. There are many things written here already. And it's a testament to the fact that you've delivered nothing less than quality. So once again, I want to appreciate those who joined. We had around 20, I think 21 as at the time you were speaking, 21 participants, and that's quite laudable. So, but now we have 14. Some persons have left already. So, but I want to appreciate those who are still here and those who joined during the discourse, those who are still around. Thank you so much for honoring our event, honoring our invitation, and staying true to it. By this time, in a few months to come, I'm very sure you would have been a direct beneficiary of the value and impact that you've gotten from this event. So I want to just make a roll call, final roll call to appreciate those who are here. I want to make a roll call now. I can see Philemon Aoyomi, Sulaiman Yusuf, that's Professor Sulaiman Yusuf, Babaranti Olumuyiwa, Ibukun Adedeji, Oluwafemi, Professor Oluwafemi, Rehoboth, Jesu Pamela Emmanuel Ayam, Erimi Victor. Then we have Dr. Pelumi Akim Mulewo, and also testimony myself. And I also want to appreciate my co-host. His gadget is now shut down, so that's why he has logged out. It was with us throughout the session. So thank you so much, everyone. And to make a final confirmation, if our mentor, our doctor, the founder of AYB, African Young Brains, wants to speak to us, I want to know if, Daddy, do you want to say anything to us before we call this meeting a day? All right. I think we can just move on already. All right. Thank you so much once again, sir, Dr. Ayodele Fashodun, for such delivery. Thank you so much for the discourse. Really appreciate. And we are promising you in our capacity that we'll make use of the information you have given us, and also follow it up as soon as we get the materials from Dr. Femi Awoyomi. And then also those who are connecting presently and we connect with you, I believe that they would also get more and more from you on your LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much. My name is Testimony Tanimowo, brand name MC Testimony, and I am so much filled with joy and gladness to host us this morning stroke afternoon event. And with this, we call this event, we bring it to a close, build it, scale it, own it, shaping Africans' futures through MSMEs. The topic of discourse was designing high income economic program from policy ideas to scalable prosperity. One thing I want you to know is don't forget, don't let this keep your mind that such events will keep on coming up. We have many events lined up for us. You can't even tell. We have a lot of events that are coming up this year alone. So just stay tuned. Virtual events, physical events, anytime we call. As you've been answering, thank you so much. Please answer again. So, on behalf of AYB and our founder, the mentor, want to appreciate you all for coming, and we say thank you so much for joining us and even staying true to this time. So the event now has ended. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. God bless Africa. Thank you so much.